Something special.
Hi friends, welcome to Friends in High Places podcast. On today's episode, it's just going to be a solo episode, and I'm going to be diving into my life story. So I've received so many messages from the listeners asking me to do an episode that's all about me and how I've become the person I am today. So I decided it was time to do so. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I was born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That's where all my family's from, where my parents grew up. And I was born at the university hospital there. I was 2 pounds, 9 ounces, and I was 3 months premature. So the beginning of my life was a bit of a struggle. I was not fully developed, especially my lungs, so I had a really hard time breathing, and I just needed some more time to kind of fully develop. And so I was in the hospital for a couple months after I was born in an incubator and just kind of trying to get stronger and healthier. So it was a pretty crazy start to my life, that's for sure. And my parents, who were actually 15 at the time, had quite a hard time with it because they not only had to watch their new baby girl struggle and fight for her life, but they were teenagers at the time. So teen parenthood and being a child of teen parents is something I really want to talk about on this podcast. It's a topic that when I started thinking about doing this podcast, I knew I wanted to have a lot of episodes based about to help bring awareness to it, to help share stories and struggles and learning experiences through it. I want to have my parents on here so they can express their experience and lessons they learned and any advice they could give to maybe teen parents who are listening to this podcast, or a child of teen parents who maybe couldn't fully understand why maybe they had a harder time when they were growing up because their parents, were struggling, being so young and trying to support a child and themselves. And yeah, I just think it'd be really cool to also hear your guys' stories. If anyone listening is a child of teen parents or were or are teen parents themselves, I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to learn from your stories, see how I can relate to your stories. And if you are open to me sharing them on the podcast, I would love to do that too. If you just want to keep it a private conversation between the two of us, that's completely cool too. I just think it would be a really cool way to bring awareness to this topic. And in no way am I trying to promote teen pregnancy on here. I definitely think you should wait until you are an adult and ready to take on that responsibility to have a child. But again, if there wasn't teen pregnancy, I would not be here. So yeah, I just think it would be a really awesome topic to use this platform to talk about. So after I was born and finally got healthy and could stay home, 3 years later, my little sister came along, and my sister's name is Bree. So Bree and I are very close. I am so grateful to have a little sister like her. I couldn't have asked for a better sister, that's for sure. Her and I have been best friends, partner in crime, day ones since the day my parents brought her home from the hospital. I could not wait to be a big sister, and it shows. We have a lot of home videos and photo albums full of pictures of Bree and I playing, getting into trouble together, having matching outfits, and just all those kind of memories. And it's really cool because even to this day, her and I are best friends. And yeah, just so grateful to have her. So a few years after my sister was born, I think she was about 3, my dad actually got a job transfer to Olds, Alberta. So my parents packed up us 2 girls, packed up their house and their life, and moved to a whole new province, leaving their parents, their family, their friends, and starting this whole new journey in a whole new province at the age 22, 23 with 2 kids. So super crazy. There's been many times in my life that I've thought back to when I was 22 years old and thinking about having 2 children and moving to a brand new province away from my support system and family. Like, can't even imagine. Like, my parents are fucking strong ass people. But yeah, so we started our journey in Olds, Alberta. I started grade 1 there. We actually moved into a trailer park, so that was a fun experience. We met some very interesting people. We met some friends there. We made some really good friendships there. And yeah, we spent quite a few years in the trailer park. And yeah, I went to school in Olds and made some really awesome friends there. And when I was in grade 4, we purchased our very first house, and that was a big thing for us. I'll never forget that moment when we got our first house, because we weren't well off. We didn't have a lot of money. So being able to purchase a home was a huge deal. And yeah, it was just so amazing. And our home was actually in Innisfil, Alberta. So Innisfil, Alberta is about 25 minutes away from Olds, and it's also kind of a small farm town. And yeah, so we started living in Innisfil. And because my parents still were working in Olds, Bree and I could continue going to school in Olds. So we did that for a couple years. Bree actually started playing hockey when we moved to Innisfil. And we're a huge hockey family, so grew up at the rink and chilled at the arena a lot. So that was kind of cool. We got to meet some Innisfil people that way. We got to make some Innisfil friends that way. But excuse me, when grade 5 hit, the summer of going into grade 6, my parents decided that it was time for us to start going to school in Innisfil, because it was just a lot for them to have to get up extra early and get us girls ready, get us to school, get themselves to work after a 25-minute drive. And yeah, it was just too much, and it was time for us to start going to school in the town that we actually lived in. So that was pretty devastating for me. There I was, 11 years old, and pretty trapped that I had to change schools and leave my friends. It was pretty rough. I definitely thought it was the end of the world. But yeah, I started school in Innisfil in grade 6. And it was quite a change for me. But I mean, kids adjust, they're fine. And yeah, I met some really amazing friends in Innisfil that I still have to this day and hold very close to my heart. I had some really good times and some pretty rough times growing up in Innisfil. Small towns are kind of difficult. Everybody knows everybody's business, and it's just very close quarters, and all the parents know each other, and it's a very gossipy kind of thing. But that's anywhere and everywhere. There's drama everywhere. But high school was definitely kind of a rough time for me. I wasn't a huge school person. I didn't really like doing schoolwork. I didn't like going to class. I still went to school and I still went to class, but I wasn't very good at it. I definitely passed very very by the seat of my pants. I don't know how I did some years, because I just wasn't fully there when it came to school. I now, as an adult, look back and realize I had learning anxiety, test anxiety, that's for sure. So I had a hard time concentrating sometimes, but that's fine. I passed school, I graduated, so it's all good. But yeah, high school definitely wasn't the best time for me. I kind of look back and remember hearing my teachers say, like, enjoy these times, they're the best years of your life. And I don't know where the fuck that came from, because high school was not the best years of my life. I did not really enjoy it. There's a lot of drama. I was a part of a lot of drama, unfortunately. Teenage shit, that's normal. But because I was premature, I've always had a hard time gaining weight and keeping weight on. So I've always been a very thin person. And that's something that I got made fun of a lot. Probably started around grade 6 and even went into my adulthood, honestly. But in high school, it was a big thing. I got called a lot of names. I got called anorexic, bulimic. I got told to go eat a cheeseburger. I got told to just go eat food in general. And I definitely have struggled with body dysmorphia my whole life because of this. And I also put on quite a guard and a defense mechanism when I was younger because of this. And I was kind of a bitch in high school. I'm not going to lie. I was still a friendly person. Like, if you were my friend and everything, I was nice and I wasn't just rude to people right off the bat. But as soon as somebody treated me shitty, I fucking showed that I didn't like you. And I used this defense mechanism quite a bit when I was in high school. I definitely could be pretty fucking rude to people, and it's just kind of because I was sick of people talking shit about me, making fun of me because of how skinny I was, the way I looked. And, you know, it did definitely put a little bit of trauma on me, that's for sure. But I mean, again, teenagers, kids are like that. Unfortunately, bullying's a thing, and it is what it is. I'm not saying I'm the only person that went through this, that's for sure. And it was a hard time for me. And so I definitely could not get out of Innisfail fast enough. I definitely brought some of my best friends along with me, continuing on in life, but I left a lot of people behind. I left a lot of hurt behind. I left a lot of bullshit behind because I was over that small town, and I was over being a part of that toxicity that kind of came about in my life there. So when I graduated, I was actually 19 when I moved out of Innisfail and I moved to Red Deer, Alberta. So Red Deer, Alberta isn't too far away from Innisfail. It's, again, about 20-25 minutes, and it's not crazy big. It is considered a city, but it's still quite a small town city. But to me, that was like a good fresh start. It was a good clean slate, and I was ready to be in a new environment. So I started working at Earl's restaurant. That's one thing that I have done my whole life is work. As soon as I could start babysitting, I did. When I was about 12 years old, I got my babysitting license, and I actually babysat for all the hockey parents at the rink. So that was a really awesome gig because my parents weren't well off and they needed to use any penny they made to support us and keep food on our table and pay the bills and everything like that. They couldn't really just hand out money to us. And also my parents really taught my sister and I responsibility and the value of money. And how they did that was they didn't just hand us $5 here and there if we want to go swimming, if we want to go to the movie theater, if we want to go to Red Deer and go shopping. We always had to work for our money. So they gave us chores when we were younger before we were old enough to have jobs, and they would give us an allowance. And then, like I said, I started babysitting, so that was really awesome. And then when I was 13, I actually got a job at Subway because everybody I went to school with started getting cell phones, and I really wanted a cell phone. And my parents said, like, well, we can't afford to go and just buy you a cell phone and pay for that bill. So if you get a job, then you can pay for your own phone bill, and yeah, we'll help you set up a cell phone. So I did. I went and got a job at Subway, and I got to get a cell phone, and I got to pay for my own cell phone bill and even go do shopping or go do the movies or whatever. You know, I finally had my own money, and that was really a great feeling. So I worked at Subway for a few years, and then when I was 16, I started working at the Co-op grocery store. So yeah, I worked there until I graduated high school, and for about a year after I was done high school, and then once I turned 19, I moved to Red Deer. And Tommy, my best friend, who you guys have met on the podcast already, her and I got our own place. So yeah, I was serving at Earl's, living on my own, and it was a good start to my adulthood, that's for sure. I learned a lot about myself in Red Deer. I definitely grew up a lot in Red Deer. Working at Earl's where I didn't know anybody, I had to meet new friends, meet new people, really made me kind of give my head a shake and realize that that whole bitch act I had been putting on for quite a while was not it. Being a bitch, being a rude person does not get you far in life, and that's not who I truly am either. I don't like being a rude person, and I kind of needed that like step into the real world and be working with adults and, you know, serving people. You need to make sure that you are like the best version of yourself. You need to be approachable. You need to be warm. You need to be a personable person. And so you can, make those tips. You're not going to get much from your customer if you're sitting there being a bitch and acting like they're the most annoying thing in the world and that you're almost better than them. So I learned a lot of life lessons starting to work at Earl's, and also meeting new people. I've met some of my best friends from working at Earl's, and I just became the best version of me and who I truly am. And it was a great time. It was a great experience. I had some really, really good memories made at working at Earl's and living in Red Deer. It was really awesome. So I served for about 3 years, and then after 3 years of serving, I started working as a manager. And that was a really awesome promotion I got. I was so excited. Again, I got to bond with the customers even more. I got some more responsibility in the restaurant. I learned a lot about behind the scenes work. I got to go to like luncheons and fundraisers and events. My general manager at the time, Phil, he let me do a lot of representing of Earl's around the city, and it was really awesome. I got to learn so much and grow up so much, and it was so great. And Phil is definitely someone I am very blessed to have had in my life. He definitely is just an amazing man. So shout out to Phil. I love you so much and I miss you so much. But after I started managing, the first year, Tommy had actually moved to Edmonton. So she moved out. She started managing a business, and she'd moved away. And so I was living on my own, and I kind of started going through a really weird time in my life. I was lonely. I don't know. I was just in a really kind of weird spot. I then, after a few months of managing, I actually had to get a foot surgery done. So my mom moved in with me. So this was the beginning of 2014. Yeah, like the end of 2013, beginning of 2014 was kind of a rough time for me. I just wasn't who I truly am. I kind of fell into this dark place. I got this foot surgery done. So my mom moved in and she was taking care of me, helping me with rent kind of thing, because I was out of work for about 4 months. And after that, like getting into recovery mode, I was bedridden for about 2 months, couldn't walk around for 3 months. So I'd use a wheelchair. And yeah, I just kind of fell into this kind of pity party for myself. I was just not a great version of myself. And then Cole and I started talking. So Cole and I started talking online. I had been listening to his music for a couple years at this point, and I'd been following him online, and we just started talking. He was actually in Europe at the time on tour, so we didn't talk every single day because it was hard. He was not in the country. So once he got back to Canada, actually, he asked me for my number, and we started texting and talking on the phone, and then eventually started Skyping, actually, because there wasn't any FaceTime back then. So Cole became my best friend. Cole actually saved me from this really, really dark path and time I was in, and he didn't have any clue at the time that he was doing this, but I was very lonely, and he really, really helped me get out of this depression that I had fallen into. And at this point, I still didn't even understand mental health. I didn't understand that I was like in this dark, dark time. And our conversation just like really, really helped me. It pulled me out of it. He made me laugh. He made me smile. And we weren't even like talking as if we were like dating. Like I honestly didn't look at Cole as, oh my God, he's going to be my future boyfriend. This is going to be a thing. I just looked at him as like a really good friend. And when we started talking, I remember I was just so taken back at how this well-known rapper, he wasn't huge at this point, but he was well-known, was a real human being. He was tender with me. He was so funny. He was so sweet. He was just like real. And, you never know with people in the music industry. He could have been just like that egotistical rapper guy kind of thing, and he wasn't. And that really helped me because it brought back the best version of me too. And so after about 6 months of us talking, he told me he was going on his very first headlining tour across Canada. And Red Deer was one of his stops. And he wanted to see if we could hang out. And I was like, well, for sure. Like, I'm so down to come chill and like come to your show and, smoke a joint, chill with you. Like, I think that would be awesome. So my mom was actually the only person who knew about Cole, who knew that we talked, because she had been living with me, but it had gotten to be very part-time because she had met her now husband and was staying at his house a lot. So I was kind of living on my own, but kind of not. Mom was coming back and forth. So she knew about Cole and I chatting, and this rapper guy I was talking to or whatever, my new friend. And so the day that Cole came to Red Deer, he picked me up in a limo, which was really cute and adorable. And my mom was actually sitting in my living room taking pictures from my front window of me walking up to Cole and giving him a hug, and it was really cute of her to do. But him and I went for a really nice dinner that night, and then we went back to his hotel and got ready for the show and went to his show. So that was the first time I got to see Cole live, and that was really awesome and such a great time. We had such a good night together. And then he asked me if I'd be down to come to his next show with him. And I had actually taken the weekend off of work. I was back at work at this point. And I was like, fuck yeah, like I took the weekend off. I'll definitely come if you want me to. So I continued on the little tour part of Alberta, and I went to the next show with him, hung out with him the rest of the weekend, and then on our last day together, he was like, so can I call you my girlfriend or what? And I was like, sure, if that's what you want, like you want to date me? And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, well, for sure. And, he was the person that I talked to the last 6 months. Even in person, Cole never put on an act at the show, in front of fans, in front of his crew he was on tour with. He never acted like he was too good for anybody. He was just Cole. Like, it was the exact same person I talked to over the phone and in private, and he just didn't have that act to him. And so I was like, well, yeah, if you want to date, I'm for sure. And he was like, okay, well, can I make it Facebook official? And I was like, I mean, yeah, that's your call. You have like a little following and a fan base, so your life is a lot more public than mine is. So if you want to. And he was like, well, yeah, I want to make it public, and I want to share a relationship with everybody. And I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. So he made it public, and I got a text message from my dad being like, when the fuck were you going to tell me you're dating the next Biggie Smalls? Like, what the fuck? And same with all my friends are messaging me like, who the fuck is this rapper guy? What the fuck? You're dating a rapper? What is going on? Where did this even come from? And like I said, my mom was pretty much the only person who knew about Cole. So I was like, well, I didn't know that we were going to date. I didn't know this was going to become into a relationship. Honestly, like, we've just been chatting and talking as friends and got to know each other the last 6 months. And yeah, when we met in person finally, he asked me to be his girlfriend. So yeah, I guess I'm dating a rapper. And so it was really funny, but everyone got used to it very quickly, especially once they met Cole and seeing how amazing of a person he is. Everyone in my life just fell in love with Cole instantly. And yeah, so Cole continued his tour. I stayed home and I continued to work. And then when he got back to BC after he was done his headlining tour, he would come and fly over to Alberta and visit me for a week here and there. because I was so busy working, and I'd made it very clear to him that I was committed to this job that I was at, managing this restaurant. And, all my family and friends are in Red Deer, so I'm not ready to give any of this up. I'm very happy and content where I am. He messaged me, or we were talking on the phone one day, and he was like, so I really hate this long distance shit. And I was like, yeah, me too. And he was like, so what do you think about me maybe moving to Alberta? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd fucking love that. But like, are you ready for that? Are you ready to leave your friends and family? Like, that's a big move to make. And we'd only been together for about 3 months at this point. And he was like, yeah, no, I want to do that. And I know you are very committed to your job, and I love that about you. And I don't want to ever ask you to leave that. And I can bring my music anywhere. And I want to be with you. I want to live with you. So I said, well, for sure, you can come and move in with me, like 100%. So he came and he moved into Red Deer, and my house there, and it was a very small place. Him and I call it our crack shack, actually. It was half a duplex, but it was only the top floor. So we had a basement suite underneath us. So it's pretty much the size of an apartment. And so, yeah, we lived there for about 3 years. And as I continued working at Earl's and doing my thing. And so in those 3 years, Cole's career took a huge, huge jump. All of a sudden, Cole blew up, and he was like crazy viral. And it's just so crazy to think of where his career was when we first started dating, and even like 2 years into him living in Red Deer with me. It was like zero to 100 real fucking quick. And God, it was nuts. So he had been touring a lot. I got to go on some of the tours, but not a lot of them, because I was working and I had a commitment to this restaurant. So I couldn't just take off a month here and there or a few weeks here and there. I had to stick to what I committed to. So after about 3 years of Cole living with me and us being together, he said to me, if you're ready to, I want you to quit your job, and I want you to be able to come travel the world and tour with me, because I can support the both of us. I am doing so well financially now that you don't need to work, and you don't need to bust your ass off so much, because I'd come home so exhausted from work and be so worn out that it took a lot. It consumed a lot of me, and yeah, it was just a lot. And it kind of took away from Cole's lifestyle. I didn't get to enjoy it with him, and he always expressed that that was his goal, was to support the both of us so I could come and enjoy this crazy lifestyle with him. So it took me a while, but I finally bit the bullet and I quit my job. And him and I actually moved into a different house that was a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, and we started our next chapter. And I started touring with him, traveling with him so much, and it was amazing. It was so crazy. It was so different to me. I was so used to working and supporting myself that it was quite an adjustment for me to be like, okay, he's supporting me. Someone else is supporting me. I don't have to worry about it. But it was incredible, and it was so amazing. So we were so busy with touring and traveling. And about 2 years later, we started talking about moving to BC. So the funny thing about BC is it's actually always been in my game plan, probably since I was about 15. When I was 15, 16 maybe, my family and I took a trip to the shoe swap. And so growing up, we didn't get to go on many vacations. Excuse me. So the shoe shop and coming to BC was a huge vacation for us. And I just fell in love with this province. I was like, oh my God, this place is so beautiful. Feels like a little piece of paradise. Like, it's so hot in the summer. It's so nice in the winter. Like, I knew that it didn't get as fucking freezing cold out here as it did in Alberta. And I just always knew one day I would end up in BC. So when Cole and I started talking about it, excuse me, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely down to do that. So we moved to BC, or made the decision to move to BC. And we got a beautiful place on the island. I also knew that, Cole took a big step moving to Alberta for me and being away from his family and friends and everything. And I wasn't working anymore. So my time in Alberta had really come to an end. I was ready for a fresh new chapter, new environment, new scenery, and just to start a new time in our life together. So yeah, we packed up our life in Red Deer and moved on over to BC. And it was a big change for me, but I was really excited, and I was really excited for Cole to be closer to his family because Cole has one grandparent left, and his papa is his number one fan. And I just adore that man so much, and so does Cole. And I'm very fortunate because I have young parents. I have very young grandparents, and my family, we are very close, super close. We have certain times of the year that we all go to Saskatoon and we all see each other. And I'm just very fortunate that I have a very good chunk of time left with my grandparents. So I wanted Cole to be close to his papa as possible so we could spend his time with him, and he could continue to watch Cole's career grow and just be a big part of it. So yeah, and his parents are on the island too. The rest of his family, aunties and uncles and cousins, are on the island too. So we got to be nice and close to his family. So we started living on the island. We continued to do touring, and then COVID hit. And so that put quite a halt on our life and this crazy busy lifestyle that we have. And so, as most of you, I'm sure, went through or have been going through during this COVID times and quarantine times, you kind of start learning a lot about yourself because we were kind of forced to start being alone with ourselves. The whole world kind of has been put on pause. Real life has been put on pause and kind of like slowed down to slow motion. And all of a sudden, you take all the busyness out of your life and you start realizing things about yourself that you're like, oh man, like, I think I need to do some work on myself. I think I need to really start figuring some stuff out for myself, because all of a sudden we're alone with ourselves and things kind of start popping up, whether that be your mental health struggle, whether that be any kind of struggle you have within yourself, insecurities, or just like you need a change. And it kind of started happening to Cole and I. We kind of started having some hard times in our relationship. Our communication kind of started getting off track. I started feeling like I just didn't really have a purpose. I really was starting to realize my mental health struggle even more. When I started dating Cole, I really learned about mental health and learning about his mental health struggle, learning about anxiety, depression, and what have you. And then I started learning about my own. After a few years of being with Cole, I started realizing, holy shit, I struggle with a lot of mental health issues. So in quarantine, it really, really flourished and really started making me spiral and taking over me. So Cole and I had a conversation, and we decided it was best that I go and find something for myself, that I start getting my independence back and I start working on myself. And he also acknowledged that he had some things within himself he needed to work on, and we just needed some time apart to become the best versions of ourselves again, apart, so then we could be the best versions of ourselves together. So my dad actually moved to BC a couple years before Cole and I did with his wife, and he's on the mainland. So I came over to the mainland and started staying with my dad and his wife. I started working with his wife at a cannabis facility. And then her and I actually decided to start our own cleaning company. So in that time, I started working again. I started focusing a lot more on this podcast and working on this podcast. And I started working on myself. I started doing some spiritual therapy. I started just like really, really dissecting myself, my feelings, my struggles, and started just kind of like trying to rewire myself and make myself the best version of myself again. And Cole did the same. He stayed on the island for a couple months, and then he made his way over to the mainland and said, like, look, I know you have found your thing here, so I can come over to the mainland and I can do my work and continue my self-work over here. He brought our 2 kitties. We have 2 girl cats. One is named Luna and one is named Bella. And I was having a really hard time being away from them. So he and the girls came over to the mainland, got an Airbnb, and yeah, I started coming and visiting them, and then continued to work on myself and my independence. And it was quite a few months, but we both came out on the better side of things, and our relationship has never been this strong, has never been this healthy. Our communication is so amazing. And I mean, of course, we still have our days where we can get into little arguments or our communication isn't fully on the same page, but we definitely did so much work on ourselves that we are now stronger together. And it's been a crazy journey. It was sad, it was hard, it was scary at some points, but him and I did it, and we proved to each other and ourselves that not only is our relationship worth it, but at the end of the day, we're worth it. We're worth working on ourselves, and self-work never ends. It's a continuous thing, but sometimes you might have to take a bit of time to yourself to really just focus on you. Because how can you love somebody if you can't love yourself? And it's not an easy thing to do, but we did it, and I'm very proud of us both, and I know Cole is very proud of us both. And now we have our new home here on the mainland, and we are very happy. And I'm still doing my own thing. I'm still being independent. I'm still working, but we're doing it together, and it's just great. So yeah, that's kind of where my life is. That's how I have come to the point I am today. One thing I do really want to talk about is my relationship with my parents. I'm so blessed to have the family I have. I'm a very family-oriented person. And the most amazing thing about having young parents is now that we are all adults, me, my sister, and my parents, we are all just like best friends. And we can all relate on like so many different life paths that we're on, or life pages that we're on. Like I said, my dad and his wife moved here to BC, and that was never in his plan. But it came a point where he was like, you know what? I'm done with Alberta. I want to change. I want a change of environment. I want a change of scenery. I just want a new, fresh start. So they came and moved here and started over here. And that's kind of exactly what Cole and I did, or what I did coming over to BC. And so my dad and I can relate on that so much. And it's so cool because we're kind of on the same life path that way. And then my mom and her fiance, they have started their own business. They purchased a home together. They're slowly flipping the home together and, doing their life together. And there's so much I can relate with them and their life and bond with them over. And then same with my sister. She is a hairdresser in Calgary. She's been working so hard on her career and fucking killing it. And she is with her significant other, Sean, and they just got but they have a puppy, Duke, and they've had him for just over a year, and they've been, they have their own home together, they've been doing their life together, so like all of us can relate on so many things in our life journeys right now. And that's like the coolest thing of being a child of teen parents, is once we all became adults, we just all became best friends. And now we can like all talk about anything and everything. We can relate to each other so much. Like, our parents understand so much of where Brie and I come from, whether it's in good times, hard times, what have you. And same with the other way around. If our parents are going through a hard time, good time, Brie and I can relate, and we can all kind of help each other out. And it's just so amazing. Just like support each other and cheer each other on and enjoy these life phases and adulting together, because, you know, my parents had to grow up super quick, having kids so young. So even though my parents were 20 years old, they were acting like they were 40 because they had to. They couldn't live that young lifestyle, you know? So once Brie and I became adults, they kind of realized, okay, well, now it's time for us to find ourselves. Now it's time for us to like focus on who we are. And so then when we all came to this point of finding out who we were and where we wanted to be, it was like we were all doing it together. It's just so amazing. It's kind of hard to explain, but I hope you understand from what I've been saying about it. Yeah, I'm just so blessed. I'm so blessed to have my parents. My mom's my best friend, my dad's my best friend, my sister's my best friend, and I couldn't ask for a better family, that's for sure. And, you know, it's difficult because my mom and sister are in Alberta. So I never thought there was going to be a time that I would go months without seeing my sister and my mom. Like, that's not normal. I'm never been lived this far away from my mom or my sister, and I've never had to go so long without seeing them. Even moving over to BC, I was like, well, you know what? It's fine. If I ever need my mom or my sister, I can just jump on a plane and go see them. That's fine. It's not that far away. But then COVID hit, and it was like, oh, wait a minute. Now I'm not allowed to go and see them? Like, what the fuck is this about? So that's been quite an adjustment, and it's not easy. It's not easy for my mom. It's not easy for my sister. It's not easy for the three of us. But the thing is when we talk on the phone or when we're on FaceTime, the connection that we have, it's like we are all in the same room together. It's like our energies, like their energies here with me and my energies there with them. And like, that's the most amazing thing about our connection. Anyone who knows us will tell you that people think my sister, my mom, and I are triplets. Like, we can all talk with our eyes to each other. We always know what each other are thinking or about to say. Like, our relationship, our friendship, our bond is so strong, and I am just so grateful and so blessed for it. Like, it's incredible, and it's one of a kind, and I know that for a fact, and I'm just so lucky. And same with my dad and my sister and I's connection, like very, very close, very, very strong. And we just, you know, I'm fortunate that my dad is here, so I get to see him. I get to be with him and his wife. And Brie's in Alberta, so she gets to see my mom. So, you know, that's the one good thing, is Brie and I both have one of our parents close to us. But it's the same thing. I know when my dad and I talk with Brie on the phone, you know, it still feels like we're in the same room together, and we just have such a great connection and such a strong bond and friendship that no distance could ever break it. And I just know Brie and I are just so grateful for the parents we have. Our parents taught us so many great life lessons, so many great examples they put on for us to be the best people we could be. And, you know, sometimes people of teen parents unfortunately have to watch their parents grow up and make immature mistakes and go through dramatic times and stuff like that. And that's one thing I can say, is I'm so blessed at how quick my parents just fucking grew up, and again, acted like they were 40 years old when they were 20 years old. They just they put the best example on for us, and that is something that I will thank them for the rest of my life, and I will hold so close to my heart and be so grateful for. And yeah, I'm so blessed for the parents that I have and the family I have. I have an incredible family. I'm close with all my family. And that's another thing where Cole and I are so similar, is our family is just so amazing. Like when I'm in the room with Cole's family, when I'm in the room with my own family, it feels the exact same way. You can feel the love. You can feel the presence. You can feel everybody just soaking up each other's energy and just the moment and just being there with each other. And it's just so incredible. And so now I'm so blessed that not only do I have my amazing family, but I have Cole's amazing family. And the day that Cole and I get married and we have a wedding, and our extended family meets, it is going to be the most incredible day and night ever, because our family is going to party together, is going to laugh and just be so happy and so present in the moment together and get along so well. Like it's so crazy. I don't know what the fuck I did in a past life to deserve the people, the family, the loved ones I have, my friends that I have, Cole. Like whatever I did, I thank the higher power every single day, because I am so grateful and so blessed for everybody I have in my life. My immediate family, my extended family, my in-laws. I'm just so blessed for all of them. I'm so blessed for all of my friends, and I'm so blessed to have Cole. And I could not be a luckier fucking girl. That's for sure. So, yeah, that is a little bit of my life story. I could dig into my interests and my beliefs and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's already pretty long here. So I'm just gonna cut it off now, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode about me. If you want to hear more about me, I can do another solo episode. Just let me know in the comments and the messages. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I hope you all stay safe, healthy, and positive, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!
Something classic, something special.